Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. All right, welcome in. I am Pugs Moran. This is the Pillow Talk edition, and we call it the Pillow Talk edition because we do two of these every day. The first one, high noon, Monday through Friday. That's just me, and I'm giving you hot topics, current events, headlines, all the buzz. Anything people are talking about, I'll give it to you. We don't spend too much time on any one subject. We don't go into politics. We don't do the culture wars. Sometimes, but you know what I'm saying? Only when it's stupid. Only when somebody's doing something stupid and they need to be called out. Who's the judge of that? That's my co-host on the afternoon show, the high noon show. I call him Schizophrenic Me. I don't need him during this show because I've got an actual real live co-host for Pillow Talk. It's Pugs and Parker, proudly present Pillow Talk. Let's bring him in now. There he is, James Parker. Look at you wearing a radio station branded shirt.
Yeah, hang on a second. Am I shorting out over here?
No, you sound good to me.
Okay. I looked in my closet and I have a ton of these shirts. And are you sure this is sounding okay to you? Because it's not sounding okay over here.
You sound absolutely perfect.
Okay. Let me try it like that. Anyway, so I look at my closet and I have a ton of these shirts from the bazillion stations that we worked at over the years. Mm-hmm. And I don't usually wear them because, that's like, who the hell knows what News Talk 1230 is? I mean, I was the morning show at the station in Waco, and I got canceled like 5 years ago. And so
you still got the shirts. You can still wear the shirts. I don't have, I've worked at a number of radio stations, and every radio station I've worked at has a t-shirt of some kind. I only have one t-shirt. And there was a time in my life where I probably had 20 radio stations. I don't know where they all went. I think that I missed the boat here. I would like at this point in my life to be able to do what you're doing, which is just pull out an old shirt from a station you worked at once and be able to wear it. I have nothing that says live. I have nothing that says a CKG or the Bone or Q101. I don't have anything. I don't have any shirts. I got one Loop shirt that I still have, and that's not even an original Loop shirt. It was just given to me by somebody a couple of years ago because they reissued it. So I'm envious of you.
Well, look, at 105.3, I got to go in the prize closet a few times, and the guy who was the promotions director was really nice and generous at the time. He's like, listen, I know you're an intern. I know you work for free. I know it doesn't mean much, but if you need some t-shirts, you can just come through here and just take one of each. I don't care. Really super nice guy. He's in jail now. But
that's unfortunate.
So I went through a round where I had one of everything the 105.3 prize closet had to offer. Mm-hmm. And it was really good because I actually needed clothes at the time. And there's a lot of them though I set aside and I never wore. And then I went up to Oklahoma and I got a ton of t-shirts. I only worked there for a year, but if you make an effort, you can collect some shirts, damn it. So I had some station shirts and some shirts from events, and then I did Sirius, and then at iHeart in New Orleans, it was the same thing. The prize closet gets opened up and they basically let you take one of everything, except they have 8 stations there. And so 8 stations worth of crap in this cluster. So I had this mountain of radio station shirts, t-shirts, gear like this. And I put a whole bunch of it aside because I'm going to sprinkle it onto my kids, like when they go to college and stuff.
Where the hell did you work? Because every radio station I've ever worked at keeps their t-shirts and shirts and station branded stuff under lock and key. There is never what there is? There's an opportunity to take home stupid t-shirts that are branded with an advertiser or something. But the actual station shirts, man, every station I've ever worked at, they acted like those gold bars. Like, oh, we can't give we got a new guy who might be an advertiser. I met him. I want to get him a shirt. Can I get him a shirt? Well, is he advertising now? You know what I mean? It's always like that. It's like, oh, come on, give me some shirts. And then somebody who was on the air in a primetime slot on the station who probably made millions of dollars a year for the station, they're still busting my balls over it. Give me a fucking t-shirt. You know what I mean? Well, what's the matter with you people?
All right, here's how it used to work. It is not like this anymore, but it used to be whenever you first got to a new job, whenever I first went to Oklahoma or whenever I first went to Sirius or whenever I first showed up, it was Clear Channel at the time in New Orleans. They treat you nice like the first week or so. They'll take you to the prize closet. Not get anything you want. Yeah, is that a box set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I'll take the whole thing. You know,
Well,
get
yeah,
all these
garbage. No, shit nobody wants. You can my backseat of my car for 20 years was filled with shit nobody wants. But
right.
that's easy.
So here's the secret. Make some friends in the promotions department. Help them load the truck one day, and while you're walking through there, just take a bunch of stuff. And the only person there is these promotion guys that you're helping, and they think that you're cool because you're like one of the on-air people that actually treats them like a human being, much less helps them.
Did you
And then
work with Sam the mailman? You think that bullshit would work with Sam the mailman? Sam the mailman, you go over to his house, you could dig a grave in his backyard for a hooker he just killed, and he still wouldn't give you a t-shirt. He would still be like, nah, sorry, appreciate the help disposing of the body, but I can't give you a free FM t-shirt. Or
all right,
whatever the hell it was at the time.
Sam the mailman is a special case, but there was a lottery. It was Hurricane Isaac. And in hurricanes, they go to the mattresses like they did in the Godfather.
Mhm.
They just show up with a bunch of air mattresses, and you and 22 of your closest coworkers are stuck in this building for about a week.
So
I slept in the prize closet. I slept in the prize closet during Hurricane Isaac, and I came home with my bag stuffed.
Look at you. A tragedy for others turned out to be a windfall for you. Here, I can't believe that here we are on the night of our Sopranos draft, and you make a Godfather reference. Well, you could have very easily have said, go to the mattress, like on the Sopranos.
Did the Sopranos go to the mattresses? Did they go to the mattresses?
Well, that's a general term. It's a general term for mafia behavior.
Well, it's a general term that they use in The Godfather, but not in The Sopranos.
That's true. That is true. Here, before we get into our draft, hold on. Let me pull something up here and do our little conversation here about us both rewatching The Sopranos. Who the fuck's this guy? Mike Francesa is God. Who is this guy? See, this is what is this guy? You see him down there?
Yeah, I do see that. Pop it up, Mike.
Random bizarro world is this guy coming to us from?
Yeah, Sopranos character draft Pugs and Parker. That doesn't seem to overlap in the Venn diagram with Mike Francesca or whatever, Francesa.
But let me tell you, this is the whole point. This is why I'm trying to do something a little bit different. Jeff Ballard, nobody wants to talk Sopranos. I'm alone over here on YouTube.
Well, skip this episode.
No. Why would we skip this? Dude, you're missing the whole point. This is a fucking experiment. I don't give a shit about who's watching now. I want to see if a Sopranos theme or a TV. See, I want to see what happens.
I hear you. No, I'm telling Jeff to skip it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were pulling the plug on it. I worked all day on it.
I'm telling Jeff look, if you're not interested in Sopranos, don't watch this episode. This is a really dumb thing for you to do.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. That's the thing. Don't waste your time. We don't, I mean, honestly, I love you guys and I appreciate you guys hanging around and being here for the regular shows, but this is really just an experiment. This is an outlier. That's why I gave you multiple days head start. I am attempting to see if something that is other than just random talk between James and I will garner more hits on YouTube over the course of, say, the next month or so, right?
Yeah, we better get to it though. We better.
Well, we can get to it. All right. First of all, what I need to tell you is this is very big breaking news around these parts, James. James, I have finished my 4th season watch 4 times now. I have been through the entire Sopranos show. I finished it a half hour ago.
The hell? How do you do that? What do you watch, like 4 episodes a day?
Yeah, easily. 3 episodes at night, easily. Well, last night, I think I watched 4 episodes. I think I ended here. I fell asleep about 2:30 in the morning last night. And I knocked out 4 episodes last night. I knocked out 2 episodes this evening with dinner. I was watching, eating dinner. And then I just rolled into the final episode. I was thinking maybe I should save it till after the show. But, I wanted to have the conclusion fresh in my mind. So now where are you in the series? Because I know you were leading me for a while. But where were you?
Yeah,
Where
I'm about halfway through season 6. I just got done with the episode where Chris found out that is her name Kelly is pregnant, and they went down to Atlantic City and got married. You didn't get to see any of that. He just comes back with the ring on, and then
yeah,
him and
he
Tony.
jumped forward.
Yeah,
He's about to
so,
have a teenager. Seriously, you're about to see. But go ahead. They do. They jump forward really quick.
Oh wow! So yeah, and the fun part of this episode, because it was the Johnny Cakes episode, was the name of it, Johnny Cakes. So I got to see the maturation of that little seedling that had been sprouting for a couple episodes, and then I also got to see the sort of crime of opportunity where Tony and Chris saw these guys in the middle of a heist, so they heisted the heisters.
Oh, the whiskey. Yeah, they got the or the cognac or whatever it was.
I think it was wine of some sort.
Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was 1983.
All right, let's get to the draft, dude. We're like 11 minutes into this episode. The people that are actually watching for Sopranos content are really disappointed at this point.
Well, you're right, but we do have to establish a couple of things here. Now, what is this draft, right? What do we do? How many round draft is it? Is it a 10-round draft? Is it a 5-round draft? I think a 5-round draft is probably good for the hour. And I think that we have to determine who goes first. I don't know. How do we determine who goes first? Because, there is, I suppose, if you're a traditional thinker, a number 1 overall pick, that's an obvious. There is a Trevor Lawrence in this draft, and so who gets to have first crack at who I imagine would be Tony Soprano.
All right, Jeff, pick a number between 1 and 10, and we are not doing Price is Right rules. It's just whoever's closest. Okay.
Okay. So go ahead, give a number. Give a number before he puts his up. Give a number. Give a number.
Oh, 6.
6. 3.
Okay, Jeff, what's your number between 1 and 10? I'm a 6. Pugs a 3. Well, see, all right, that'll be me. And with the first round, of course, I'm taking.
You went over. Wait a second, you went over.
That's why I said we're not playing Price is Right rules. We're just saying whoever's closer.
Bitch. I purposely went under because there was more to go under. There was 5, 4, 3, 2, or wow. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. All right, go ahead, James. You got your first pick. Here you go with the first pick in your Tony Soprano draft, or I'm sorry, the Soprano show draft. Which are you taking?
Is your finger on the applause button?
My finger is on the applause button.
Tony Soprano.
Tony Soprano. Of course he's taking Tony Soprano. Why wouldn't he? Why did you take Tony Soprano number 1?
He is the protagonist, anti-hero of the show. He is the main character. He is actually good as the main character. He is a nice, complex, interesting character, not necessarily likable as a human being, but you find yourself cheering for him. He lives up to a very, very huge burden, because in a show like this, if this guy doesn't pull off his role, the whole show doesn't work. So it's the hardest role to play, but he did the best job, and James Gandolfini is a pretty easy pick on this one, Tony Soprano.
All right, very good. One of the things that I find very disturbing about the Sopranos rewatch, I don't know if you have picked up on this or not, there are a lot of references to Tony Soprano in this series, where they say, "You're gonna drop dead of a heart attack. You're gonna die of a heart attack." There are at least 4 instances that I can remember off the top of my head where Christopher or even Paulie, that fat fuck, the guy's over in New York, he's gonna drop dead of a heart attack, which is really bizarre and haunting because we know that he actually did drop dead of a heart attack, James Gandolfini. But here's the other thing, James, knowing that this guy was a heart attack waiting to happen, do you watch his performance in this show and go, holy fuck, this guy is sick. This guy, he is so how much he breathes, how heavy, and through his nose, he has, the actor, I'm talking about the actor portraying the character. I don't know if this was a character choice, but knowing that he had this heart disease that was, and then you hear the way he talks, it's like, oh my God, this is a man who's about to die. Good choice. Good choice.
It's obvious, it's easy, but that doesn't make it wrong.
What, the jokes?
No. Picking Tony Soprano first.
Oh, yeah. And the jokes, nothing wrong with the jokes. How could they know the actor, the real man, was going to drop dead of a heart attack at 52 years old?
Dude, the jokes don't bug me at all, because we all make jokes about. Weird. about people who weigh 280 pounds, and for a reason, because that stereotype is real. These people tend to have cardiovascular issues, hypertension issues, and heart attacks.
He was really, really unhealthy though. All right, so for my first pick in the draft, which would be the second overall, I am going to go off the board because my scouts have told me that this guy. Here we go. All right, I am going with Ralph Cifaretto. Ralph Cifaretto as my first overall pick. Ralph Cifaretto. Cifaretti, or however you say it. Tell you why I'm going with Ralph. Because
Okay.
I would watch a television series that was just solely devoted to the everyday life of Ralph Cifaretto and that meth mouthed pregnant stripper who he knocked up and then murdered. I think them sitting around at 2:00 on a Tuesday afternoon watching Judge Judy while Silvio bangs on the door, because she was calling in sick to work because she was hooking up with Ralphie. Ralphie's my favorite. There is not. Here's how I decided on the number one, James, and it was up to the last 5 minutes. It was between my number one and who I'm going to take off the board next. I came down on the side of Ralphie because every time Ralphie entered a scene, I started to smile. I just knew something crazy was going to happen. He was going to do something unhinged or say something completely offensive to somebody, and then act like, "Whoa, why are you getting offended?" It was so great.
See,
Ralphie,
I love these actors who play these guys because he is a scumbag almost every project where I've recognized him. But it's not the same flavor of scumbag. You know, Denzel Washington's the same guy in
yeah,
every movie. No, the actor who plays him, what's his name? Joey
Joe,
Pantalone.
Joey Pants is what
Yeah.
he's known by his friends, but it's Joe Pantaleone.
Yeah, so he can be like the Italian, she was a hua, scumbag
She
in
was a
Sopranos.
hoa.
Right. He can be like in the futuristic dystopian technical suspense, The Matrix, where he
Okay.
was the science fiction version of a douchebag. And in fact, I'm hard pressed to think of a show he's been in where he's like the upstanding, trustworthy, alpha male protagonist like
Oh
this.
no, he's a bad guy. He's a great bad guy. He's
Well,
he's he's Guido the Killer Pimp from Risky Business. That's the first time we ever saw him. So his
there you go. Okay, so look, listen. Those actors, I think what a fun job that must be, and I want that job. I think I could do that job, excel at that job, because I'm not handsome enough to be like a leading man, but I do have kind of like a creeper hillbilly Frankenstein thing going,
you do.
and yeah, I could creep people out and be the bad guy, and I would love it. I would do it in different time periods and accents. It would be great.
Hold on, gotta let the dog in real quick. James's next pick is coming up.
Ah, damn it. Jeff, stop with the spoilers, dude. If that happens, I haven't seen it. If you're doing that to play with me, it's working.
All right.
All right. Oh. Are you ready? Do I have to wait for you to put your ears in? You putting your ears in?
There you go.
Get
All right.
your ears in.
Give it to me. Your second overall pick in the Sopranos character draft. Your first pick was Tony, followed by my first pick, second overall, Ralphie. Who is number 3 off the board?
See, this is where it gets tough.
It does. My list is.
Yeah. See, because I have a tie for the next two, really. So I'm gonna go for Christopher Moltisanti.
Christopher Maltasante. All right. Yeah, Christopher. You ain't got there yet. But tell me why Christopher. Why you like Christopher?
Well, Jeff's already spoiled it over there in the comments, so thanks a lot.
Yeah, Jeff, why would you do that? He hasn't seen the whole thing yet. That's one of the big moments that are coming up.
Real butthole, dude. You're
Well, I
real.
guess you don't know how he kills him.
Thanks for confirming it. And well, look, Christopher is the most consequential character besides Tony Soprano. This is the guy who moves along the exposition. The plot line is following him. The plot line relies on him, and he's guiding it, and he's making some of the decisions he makes, guide the whole show, second only to Tony Soprano himself. And it's funny because, you know, in the regular line of succession, you think it would stay in the family and it would go from Junior and his brother to Tony to AJ. But you know, one of the subplots of this entire story is that
Is
Tony's
that he's
trying to
grooming Chris?
yeah,
Yeah.
he's steering it in the direction of Chris, but also trying to steer it away from AJ. He's not even getting him rolled up in anyone's crew or making collections or sitting in on meetings or anything like that. So, you know, Christopher is the second biggest character, and the actor who does the character does an excellent job.
Yeah,
He really
Michael Imperioli. He's tremendous. Why hasn't he done anything since? Why didn't he go on to have a more high profile career? I don't know.
he hasn't really done anything since.
No, not really. Well, no. I mean, did you even know his name? Michael Imperioli, right? I mean,
Oh, I only know it from seeing the credits a bazillion times in The Sopranos in the last month.
here's what I think he is. I think he's a Broadway actor because every time I see his name mentioned, it's about something. I think he's a New York Broadway. A lot of those guys were New York Broadway actors.
Those guys are such nerds. What you know, as a theater kid, even I get the appeal of wanting to be on Broadway, but once you've like gotten on Sopranos, leapfrog to the big leagues. Stop goofing around. You know, like I know you don't need the money, but get off it.
All right. First pick overall, Tony Soprano. Second pick overall, I chose Ralphie. Third pick overall, James picks Christopher. Fourth pick overall, I am going with. This was really hard for me because I went with Ralphie just because I love Ralphie so much. Because he's the guy that shows up and it just brings me joy because he's such an awful human being. But he wasn't as major a player. I figured I needed to draft somebody who was, as you said, a person who was a very important subplot to the series and sort of drove a lot of the action that was going on. And that's why with the fourth overall pick in the Sopranos draft, I am going to be taking Junior Soprano, Uncle Jew.
Oh,
Uncle
okay.
Jew, it's taken off the board by me. I love that guy. I love that guy. He was an arch criminal. And I think the reason that I like Junior Soprano so much more now, and I always liked him, I always found him interesting. It's because of the way the actor Corey Stoll portrays him in The Many Saints of Newark. We get to see the young Junior, and having seen the young Junior and then re-binging the series, I see old Junior in a different way because he's kind of dismissed, right? As marginalized as this old school guy, and the game has passed him by, and Tony's just setting him up to be the figurehead so that he can take all the heat. So we could be conned into thinking that Junior Soprano was some sort of a doofus. No, Junior Soprano in his day was a badass, which is why it's so. I love the character of Junior. All right, that's my fourth overall pick. Tony goes number one. Ralphie goes number two. Christopher goes number three. Junior goes number four. James, who do you got for the fifth overall pick in the Sopranos draft?
Man, you're making this too easy. I'm going with Paulie Walnuts.
Paulie was in my list. Paulie would have been the next off the board. Tell me why you went with Paulie Walnuts Galtieri.
Well, I enjoy the Paulie Walnut situation precisely because of my first two picks. This is a guy that makes consequential decisions. See, this is a guy who's in very important scenes. This is a guy who's pulling very important triggers. This is also one of the guys that is probably the least flawed out of the complex cast of characters around him, but not because he's on top of everything or because he has his whole life battened down. It's precisely because he's such a simple guy.
Yes, you are being kind when you call him a simple. I think he's a simpleton. I think he's borderline. I mean, he's a moron. He's not a very smart guy. He's all emotion and rage, and he has no control of his ego. Everything about his existence is dependent upon what people think of him. And he's another character that we get to know a little bit more of in Newark, Many Saints of Newark. I love Paulie Walnuts because I think pound for pound, Paulie Walnuts is the funniest character on the show. Because
Paulie Walnuts is so funny because he has all the confidence and swagger in the world. He doesn't doubt himself, but he's sitting there with his ridiculous wing haircut, with his ridiculous tracksuit on, with this stupid low cut wife beater undershirt there with the ridiculous medallion bouncing on the ridiculous chest hair, and he's talking in a ridiculous accent, and he's using ridiculous slang, and like everything is just it's a period piece for me watching it in 2022, and this came out 20 years ago. But he's a period piece within the period piece because all the clothes he's wearing are like 10, 15 years behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Last time he had a serious girlfriend who bought him clothes. That's the
Right.
1980s sweatsuits that he's wearing. I love the
But you
wings in
hesitate to
the hair.
call him dumb. You hesitate
No,
because
I
he
don't.
has swam through the shark infested waters for how old do you think he is? 60? For this long without getting clipped, without ending up in jail. He seems to
He's been in
dodge.
jail. He was in jail in Youngstown. He did a 9-month bit. Remember?
Oh man, yeah. I'm talking about for the majority of the show. Listen, for most of the people that get into this gang, they wind up dead or in prison by the time they're 60, and he's still out running around, hanging out at the deli, going to
Yeah,
the Bada
that's
Bing.
good. All right. So, speaking of that older gentleman in The Sopranos who eventually wind up dead or in prison, I'm going to take with the 6th overall pick in our Sopranos draft, Johnny Sacramone, the underboss to Lil Carmine. I'm sorry, Big Carmine, Lupatazzi, one of the New York families. Johnny Sack ascended to the top boss job, moved out to Jersey. That was a threat to Tony. Tony didn't like that one of the New York bosses was living right there in Bergen Township or wherever the hell it was that they were living. And what I like about Johnny Sack is that he was so duplicitous. He was a guy who every one-on-one with Johnny Sack seemed reasonable. Like he's smoking the cigarette. He looks great. He's got the good suit and the jacket. He seems like a very reasonable guy. And then he turns around and he completely betrays the person that he just seemed like a totally reasonable guy to. He was an incredibly interesting character. Johnny Sack, I take with the 6th overall pick in the Sopranos draft.
Well, I find him interesting because he has the depth, the empathy, the heart. I mean, just sort of the genuine humanity to have that overweight wife and still love her just for the person he is. Not that he's a chubby chaser, but that he's not concerned with such petty, shallow things. His attraction and bond with his wife is much deeper than mere physical appearance.
She was a dancer when they met. That's all. That's just from childbirth. That weight is just from childbirth. She was a beauty. She worked the counter at Saks Fifth Avenue in New York. That's where Johnny met her.
And,
What,
and so in the rest of his life, though, total ass.
Oh, total ass. Yeah. But he did. He loved Johnny Sack. If you remember, he was always criticized by the other guys when they were talking about how he was always on his high horse because Johnny never had a guma. Johnny never had a girlfriend outside of his marriage because he loved Ginny so much.
And neither did Bobby. Bobby never kept a gumad.
Let me tell you, no, yeah, you're right. Bobby didn't either because Bobby loved Karen, and then that tragedy happened to Karen. But anyway, okay, so Johnny Sack is my pick here at number 6. Who are you going with at number 7? Who is the 7th off the board?
Silvio Dante.
Silvio, yeah, good one, good one. Look, I'm a big fan of Bruce Springsteen, so I love Silvio. I've been a big fan of Steve Van Zandt for years as a guitar player, as a rocker. And then he turned into this, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy is not only one of the great rock star guitar players of the last 40 years, but he's a hell of an actor. Why did you take Silvio?
Silvio is one of the more believable characters and one of the least believable characters at the same time. I get the feeling that Steve Van Zandt grew up with some older guy, like an uncle or a next door neighbor or some dude that his dad worked with that picked him up every morning or something. And he seems to be channeling like one specific human being because he's definitely not being Steven Van Zandt, and he's not doing what Ryan Reynolds is just a variation of Ryan Reynolds in all his movies. But Steven Van Zandt's doing some damn sure acting.
His character, James, is so animated and by animated, I don't mean like I mean, he's so unbelievably different in the way he stands, the way he talks. It's almost like he's doing a character, except he's believable. It's believable that that guy exists, even though he is so weird and over the top with the way he talks and the way he delivers lines. I think that's an amazing acting job from Steve Van Zandt as still Silvio Dante.
Now it's different for you. Remember, I grew up out in Bug Tussle, where we just have whites, blacks, and Mexicans. That's what we have. We don't have Italians. So when I see people like this on TV, they do look like a Saturday Night Live character. They do look like someone's putting on some sort of bit, because I never see nor hear anyone like that in real life. And so when they complain about it in the show, they kind of have some legit complaints, because the overwhelming majority of my exposure to Italian and Italian American culture has been the portrayals through the media of Goodfellas, of The Godfather, of mobsters, now The Sopranos, and we could name about 4,000 other TV shows and movies and whatnot. And I mean, other than Mario, what are the positive Italian characters out there in media that are huge?
Well, I think there's probably a lot of them, but I think that these are outlier personalities in our culture. These people do exist in the North, where there are still mob controlled neighborhoods. You see these guys all the time, and they sit out on the sidewalk and they watch the world go by. I I think that normal Italian people just sort of blend in so much that you don't notice. You know what I mean? Like, these guys stick out because they're almost caricatures of what Italian culture or an Italian American is like. But no, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of Emil is a normal Italian. He's 100% Italian.
Sure.
And he comes from that world, I might add.
Right. But like where I'm from, there's people that are, I guess, Italian. They have Italian last names and they're kind of fresh off the boat, but they don't have the accent and they don't talk like Polly Walnuts. They talk like me and you.
But that's because the culture gets generationally wiped away as they move further and further away from where.
Right. So out in Bug Tussle, there's no Italians like that. I mean, there's
No.
people who look Italian and are from Italy, but there's not that, because he stands like this and he's always got the frown.
Right. Yeah.
But
couldn't you also say the same for the depiction of rednecks in American culture? Like,
Yeah.
every guy that you go to, that you grew up with, to someone like me, I just think he's that, oh, hell, man, hell, dang a light. It's like, that's the same sort of thing. I was never around Texans. So when I was a kid growing up, I just thought all Texans were.
We definitely deal with that too. And like, you're used to the way we talk, but I remember going up to New York. I remember doing a trip to Boston where I guess I sounded like Yosemite Sam to those people. Right.
Yeah,
I think I sound normal, but because, I just come into a room different, like when we go into a restaurant, I'm like, hey, do we seat ourselves? And they're like, shut up. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I sound like Yosemite saying, hey, can we seat ourselves? Is probably what I sound like to them.
I can tell you that every time that I've brought a Texan up to Chicago for a weekend, whether we're going to a game or doing something, just a party for a weekend out of town, they have always done extremely well with the local women. And I've given this advice: don't be the be the Southern gentleman. Be the Southern women. Northern, you could take home a chick who talks like this if you just, give them a nice little spin on your Southern gentleman thing. And they went crazy for it. So it's not like it's not like it's a repulsive thing. You could do very well in New York with your accent, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, no. And I was like, when I have to go to New York every once in a while. And sometimes it's funny because I sound like a Texan and they find out I'm a Texan, and then I do something just moderately nice and it gets blown up like, oh, you open the door for ladies? And I'm like, I guess I do.
He's a Texan. See,
they do nice things like that. I'm like, what do the guys do up here? They're like, open your own door, bitch.
Try and fit this into the hour. 7. You got pick number 7 off the board so far in the Sopranos draft. James, with the number 1 overall pick, took Tony Soprano off the board with the number 1 pick. I then followed suit with Ralphie Cifaretti as the number 2 pick off the board. James then took number 3, Christopher Moltisanti. By the way, you want to hear something cool? that I didn't realize?
Okay.
Many Saints of Newark. I just thought that was a cool title. That's sort of like, yeah, man, because they're bad guys, but they're still Catholic. They still think they're good, and they're from Newark. I just thought it was a cool title. Do you know that Many Saints translates in Italian to Moltisanti? That the Many Saints of
Oh
Newark.
yeah, I guess so, huh?
I didn't know that until it dawned on me. So the Many Saints of Newark is actually titled the Moltisantis of Newark. That's sort of that's why it's all about Dickie. That's why Dickie Moltisanti is the main character. All right.
That's cool. I'm glad you
Christopher
said that before I watched it.
Christopher Moltisanti went with number 3, went off with the number 3 pick. Junior Soprano, I took with the number 4. James took Paulie Walnuts at number 5, and I just took Johnny Sack at number 6. There are 4 more picks in the
No.
Sopranos draft.
No, then I did Silvio, so now it's you again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah, because we were talking about Sylvia. Okay. So with the number 8 pick, I will hold on. Sylvia Dante. With the number 8 pick, James. Again, I'm not going obvious. I'm going to pick somebody who every time they come on screen, I go, okay, something good's about to happen, and that is the man that Tony refers to not so lovingly as the Shah of Iran, Philly Leotardo. Philly Leotardo comes up. He rises to the boss in New York. I believe he controls Brooklyn, because that's when the feds say Brooklyn's talking about you, Tony. They got his target on your back. So Philly Leotardo is a guy who is in prison for the first couple of seasons. He gets out in the class of 04. Isn't that what they call it? The class of 04, when Tony Bondetto and all these guys get released from prison. So Philly Leotardo comes back from prison, and he doesn't necessarily recognize the changeover in command of the North Jersey crew, which is the Soprano family crew, and just the problems that Philly Leotardo causes. Philly is a complicated man, James. Philly shows moments of warmth, of kindness, of a real dedication to the people of his community. And then he's also the guy who, you haven't gotten here yet. He's also the guy who handles the veto situation.
Okay.
Philly Leotardo is my pick at number.
Oh man, that actor is so epic because he's like, so go get your shine box, in Goodfellas, and then he gets to do this, and yeah, that's so.
Yeah,
See,
he is. He's, if for people who don't know, Philly Leotardo is the guy who utters the famous line, "Go home and get your shine box," to Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, and then he gets kicked to death on the floor of the tavern.
Yeah, well, you can't kill a made man. That's the end of Joe Pesci.
All right, so here we go. Now you've got your 9th pick. Are you ready to take the 9th pick off the board?
Yeah, so this is my final pick, and I'm really picking him because I don't have any other picks after this, and I better go ahead and grab him. I don't even know this dude's last name, but Furio
Gunta. That is a great pick. If you hadn't taken him, I would have taken him with my last pick. Tell me why.
No way.
Yeah. Tell me why you went with Furio Gunta.
Well, Furio Gunta was the little charm on the bracelet that made it not just a regular bracelet. Everyone else is so not exotic, they are so base and boring and no style, no class.
He's got some depth to him as a human being. So
yeah, so it was so
Furio.
cool when they picked up all these goobers from New Jersey and then dropped them off in the beautiful countryside outside of Naples in Italy, and the transplant, you could really see the contrast of these guys may just be 2 generations removed from Italy, but they are far gone from what their grandparents were and what their cousins turned out to be. So Furio wears nice clothes, has long hair, keeps it stylized. He keeps up with his appearance. He keeps up with his shape. He doesn't run around in stupid ass 80s tracksuits looking like fuddy duddy. He doesn't have a gut that hangs over his belt. He doesn't dress with pleated Dockers pants and then a polo shirt tucked in. He doesn't. He is such a contrast from all those guys. Even though he's clearly one of them, he clearly knows the business. They love him like a cousin because he is a cousin, and so he's so much alike them in so many ways. To where he just instinctually gets being in that industry. But then at the again, even though he's not an important person, he is there as just a constant contrast on what all these other guys are
He
not.
he is an extremely important character for about 9 episodes. There's one season where him and what he, gets involved
Cause.
with
Yeah.
yeah, is a very big deal, and then he disappears and he's gone, but that is a great pick. Alright, so now this is gonna be the last pick. This is gonna be the last pick off the board, and James, I got a lot of great ones. I got a lot of great ones that I wanted to I mean, I have because I've got the ones that I wanted, and then in case you took some of them, I have extras. So
Yeah.
man, I am right now for my last pick. It is a pick 'em. I just got to go. It's between. Here's what I'll give you. Okay, it's between her Hesh Raskin, Hesh,
Okay.
the Jewish advisor to Tony, who was also the advisor to Tony's dad. I love Hesh. Man, I also like I where is it? Bobby Baccalieri, who
Yep. Bobby's
becomes
great.
juniors. I wanted to do him. Feach Lamanna, James. Feach Lamanna, another one of the class of '04. The old man who tells the stories who they set up to go right back to prison because he's kind of a troublemaker. Feach is so great. Robert
I don't
Loggia.
remember that. I don't remember
You
that
don't
dude.
remember Feach? Feach is the
Hmm.
guy that ran the card game that Tony and Jackie Aprile knocked over when they were teenagers, which got them made. And then Feach
Oh,
was
okay.
prison.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Feach Lamanna, come on. He's sitting on his front porch, and Christopher shows up and he says, I'm having my wine and peaches. Like everybody knows that he has wine and peaches at this time every day. I
Hmm.
love Feach Lamanna, but oh, man. All right. So here's who I'm going to go with. I'm going with Janice. I'm going with Janice Soprano. We haven't taken a woman. Janice Soprano is an
I thought
absolute.
she was on your hate list.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But she's a great character. I mean, I maybe I didn't make that clear. I don't hate the character. I love the character. I love the actress portraying the character. She's doing an amazing job. I hate the person Janice Soprano. The person Janice Soprano as portrayed by Ada Turturro is just a worthless piece of shit human being. And that's why she's so great. And that's why I had to take her off the board because she is absolutely a terrible, terrible person. All right, so here we go. Here's the official rundown for our Sopranos draft. You took Tony Soprano #1 overall. I followed up with Ralphie Cifaretti at #2. You then took Christopher Moltisanti at #3. I took Junior Soprano at #4. You took Paulie Walnuts at 5. I took Johnny Sack at 6. You took Silvio Dante at 7. I took Philly Leotardo at 8. You took, I didn't put this. Who did you take at 9? Who was your 9th pick?
Furio.
That's right, Furio Gata, or Gunta, or however it's pronounced.
Whatever that is.
Furio, and then I finished it up with Janice Soprano. There you go. That is our official Sopranos draft. Is there anybody that you had on your list that you didn't get to pick, that you just didn't get to, or that you thought should be worthy of a little conversation?
Well, you're asking me what if I had another pick, what would it be? Like
Yeah.
if you would pick Furio, I would have probably gone with the bald chef dude.
Artie
Vic.
Bucco.
Oh yeah, Artie Bucco. Yeah.
Artie Bucco. Okay, Artie. When you've seen it 4 times through, you'll have all the names committed to. Don't feel bad. It's just your first time through. Artie Bucco. He was kind of a drip, kind of a pain in the ass, kind of a bitch boy. But his wife, he had the hottest wife of all of them, Charmaine Bucco. Especially when they go through their marital troubles and she gets in shape and starts dressing differently. Charmaine Bucco is hot. I like Charmaine.
Yes. The wife is amazing. I really think the actor. This is sort of the counterweight to Tony Soprano. He has a whole lot of weight to carry, and he has to do a good job with the whole lot. Well, this guy doesn't have a big weight to carry, and he did a whole lot with the little sliver of the show that he's given, because he'll disappear for episodes at a time. Like I don't think he was in the episode today I saw for one scene.
Yeah.
But he makes the most of whenever he's on there, because I feel like I know this guy. I feel like I know guys that are like him. He doesn't really have a whole lot of push on where the plot's going or where the exposition's going, But you see this guy and you get so used to him, you get used to his whole situation. Like he wishes he was one of the big guys. He doesn't like being the guy that has to come out and give him food. And he wants to be part of the conversation and he wants to be in the cool kids club. And he doesn't feel like he's in the cool kids club. And he's not cool with his situation. And he's totally
He's not.
inconsequential to the story, but you enjoy having that subplot there.
Well, I think he's important to the story because he shows you the reason he exists is because he was Tony's best friend when they were little kids growing up. And what it shows is that Tony, had he not been raised in the family he was raised in, he very easily could have fallen in with a completely different crowd. He fell into the crowd he fell into with as a kid with, Silvio, who was a contemporary of his, Big Pussy, who was another friend. Those were the friends from, the business that his dad worked with their dads, and so those were all the kids in the business. Artie was like a civilian, and his presence and his constant being in Tony's life kind of shows you that Tony maybe wasn't cut out for this. You know what I mean? Like maybe Tony, and that's sort of a running theme with Junior and his, you never had the makings for a varsity athlete, which Junior says to him as an insult like 4 times throughout the series. And those are all meant to demean Tony or to suggest that Tony doesn't have what his dad, Johnny Boy, had, which is this killer instinct. So Tony seems to constantly be overcompensating for this inferiority complex about whether or not he's truly cut out for this line of work and this lifestyle. And, he is. We learn that he is. But that's what I think Artie's role is to remind us that Tony could have fallen in with a different crowd. Tony could have gone to Rutgers and graduated instead of just being for 2 semesters and then starting a sports book or whatever it is that he did. A couple other ones that I wanted to mention really quick here. I love Beansy. Beansy Gata, who was the pot dealer who they set up with a pizza place, and he started selling pot out of the pizza place. And it turns out that the pizza was good. So then Beansy had like 4 pizza places, but he was still paying the mob. Beansy gets run over by Richie Aprile and
Oh,
paralyzed.
that's right. That's right. Man, what was Richie April's problem? All right.
Well, Richie Aprile set him up as a pot dealer and got him the storefront pizza place. And then Richie Aprile went to prison. And while Richie was in prison, Beansy blew the business up to like multiple locations. And, he's doing well. And Richie got out of prison and demanded his piece of the company or his piece of the pizza business. And of course, he runs over Beansy. And then in later seasons, we see Beansy retired in Florida. He becomes sort of Tony's man in Florida. He handles all of the stuff, but he's in a wheelchair. And he's always, whenever we see Beansy, he's always out with my stepdaughter, which is just code for Beansy being out with a bunch of whores that he brings. So I love Beansy. I also like Agent Harris, the FBI guy who sort of towards the end becomes Tony's friend. He starts out in mob organized crime with the FBI, but then after 9/11 gets switched to terrorism. So then Tony only sees him when he comes by Satriel's for a pork sandwich, and then they talk about terrorism. And there is a scene in, I think it's the last episode that you'll see that I love it because it brings Agent Harris full circle. Agent Harris, we first meet him when he basically kicks in Tony's front door during a raid in like season 1. And then at the very end of the series, when we learn of somebody being killed and this person being killed being good for Tony Soprano and Tony Soprano's family, we see Agent Harris sitting at the FBI office being told that this occurred. And he goes, "We're going to win this." And everybody looks at him like, "What do you mean we're going to win this?" And it suggests that Agent Harris is rooting for Tony. He's rooting for the Soprano family against the New York City family. So I love Agent Harris. I love Irina, Tony's original Guma, the Russian girl.
Oh my God, yes.
God, I love her.
Wow.
I love Salvatore Mustang Sally in Teal. He's Mustang Sally kills Vito's brother because Vito's brother talks to Sally's girlfriend, and then Bobby's dad has to murder Mustang Sally. And what is like one of the craziest scenes in the whole movie, scored perfectly to America's Sister Golden Hair. They're just, that's the thing about this show. There is just so much artistic merit to it. Like it's not that you could just make a gangster movie where it's just, but there's like a real style to this show. David Chase really had sort of a vision with the music that he chose, The dialogue, of course, is I think what sets it apart from most other shows is that the dialogue is just so incredible. The way these people talk to each other. All right, any closing thoughts on The Sopranos as you run through the final couple of episodes?
This is one of those shows. Now, granted, I haven't seen the last 12 episodes. I'm halfway through the last season. This seems like one of those shows that leaves itself just completely like a ripe piece of fruit, waiting for sequel after sequel after sequel. Like they could pick up these storylines
Yeah.
because there's a lot of this isn't a storyline, which I really
No,
like that.
it's a
And
story about a culture, an ongoing, ever evolving culture in that part of the country that exists. And
well,
and yes,
it's about the Soprano family, Maltasanti family ish, but like Michael Imperioli, if his calendar's not too full, HBO at any time can just pull him back in and say, "Hey, how would you like to be Christopher Maltasanti again? We're going to make a new series, and
well,
he's going to be in it."
I think we've established that he's dead, so
Oh yeah, that's right.
so we can't do him.
Bad
Although
example. Bad
although
example.
although the boss of the Soprano crime family now is Silvio Dante. Silvio Dante has risen. Now that's not shown in the series. That's just what David Chase said. David Chase said that not Michael Imperioli, James Gandolfini passing away, and so he was asked the question during a conversation once if that had happened within the series of The Sopranos, who would take over as boss of the Soprano crime family given the state of the family on the final episode. And he said Silvio Dante. So Silvio would be the new boss of the Sopranos. So it would be the Dante crime family at this point. Here, I got a couple of things I pulled for you that I thought there are a lot of terms that, and you said it, like you're from
Bug tussle.
you're from Bug Tussle, so you're not really around all of this. Like I don't think there's a Little Italy in Tyler, right? So you don't really hang out at
We
Little
have a
Italy.
Papa John's. That's kind
Yeah,
of close.
I'm sure it's great.
Same thing.
I'm sure it's delicious. Couple of terms. I'm going to give you a couple of terms that you have heard, a couple of phrases, a couple of words that you've heard throughout The Sopranos, and you tell me what you think they mean. Okay. First of all, gabagool. What is gabagool when they're looking for gabagool?
Is that that's like a food of some sort? Is that like I think the thinly cut beef, like bruschetta or prosciutto or whatever, but just like a different version of that?
Yeah, it's the way illiterate immigrants pronounce capicola. It's capicola ham, or pork.
I don't
It's
know
a
what
it's a
capicola
lunch
is.
meat. It's a lunch meat. It's an Italian lunch meat. It's delicious. All
I
right.
have no
How,
idea. Okay.
how about when somebody says "Maron"? What does that mean? What is Maron? What does that mean?
Moron.
You have heard it, right? When they go Maron. Okay, first of
Yeah.
all, it's not Maron, even though that's how everybody pronounces it. Everybody pronounces it Maron. It's actually Madone, Madone, Maron. But the way they say it, it comes out sounding like Maron. Madone means Madonna, Madonna, and it's used to express shock and or sympathy at
Like we
somebody.
say Jesus Christ, they say,
Maron.
yeah,
Like,
Mary,
like if you
Madonna.
were to say, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry I'm late." I go, I got into a car accident. They might go, "Maron," right? Because that means it's sympathy, but it's also shock at what you've just
Madonna.
told them.
Okay.
Guma. What's a guma?
That is a regular mistress.
A
Not li- not
guma.
not like one night stands, but one you keep regular on the side.
Yeah, it's a guma is a girlfriend, a person that a made man is involved in, a married made man. You have to be a married made man to have a guma. Otherwise, you just have girlfriends.
Okay, so is Friday for the wives and Saturdays for girlfriends, or is Friday for girlfriends and Saturdays are for wives?
No, Friday is for girlfriends and Saturday is for wives, is what
Okay.
Goodfellas put out there. I don't know if that's true or not.
Is that a rule?
Well, according to Goodfellas, according to Henry Hill, it was.
You
That's
could
what
tell
he
me
said.
anything and I'd believe it. I know crap about this.
Ugats. When somebody says, "Ugat," you're gonna get ugats. What does that mean?
You're gonna get, I don't know, killed or something. I don't know.
Nothing. It means nothing. It means you're getting nothing.
Mm.
You'll get ugats and you'll like it. All right. How about Maron? How do they pronounce it?
Madonna? We just did that one.
No. That's marron, which is actually madon. This one is Merigon. Merigon. Merigone. Merigone. That is
Madigan.
it's a derivation of the term Madigan. Madigan is what they're trying to say. Madigan is a mafia term for any American who isn't Italian. So if you're an American and that's where it comes from. Merigon, Merigone, or Madigan. Ubat.
Okay.
If I call you Ubats, what does that mean?
No idea.
It means you're crazy. It means you're nuts. Bukak. What does bukak mean? You call somebody a bukak.
Beats me.
C word. It's the C word.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a bukak is the C word. Jeff Ballard asked, "What is a box of ziti?" It's $1,000. A box of ziti is $1,000. So when Tony says, "Put those 5 boxes of ziti in my trunk," he's talking about put $5,000 in my car. That was Jeff's question. Shifusa. What is a shifusa?
Did they even say that? I hadn't heard that.
Shifusa?
I don't know. I definitely don't know Shifusa.
Yeah. Shifusa is a derogatory term for someone who is dirty, lousy, rotten. What's the other one? Titsoon. What's a titsoon? Hey, he's down there with all the titsoons.
Is that the Asians?
It's a black guy.
Black guy.
Black people. Black people are titsoons.
Hey, I went racial. I was close.
How about vafangul? Vafangul. You hear that one? You got vafangul.
I feel like I've heard fangul a lot. And I don't know. Is this like go F yourself?
Yeah. Vafangul means go F yourself. Fangul means F. That's the F word. Vafangul. Okay. But that's not to be, what's the other one? Mafangul, which is oh fuck. Mafangul is oh fuck.
No, isn't that like F me? Wouldn't that be F me?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really speak the language. I'm just going off this little Sopranos vocabulary thing.
Maybe it's in your email. I guess
that's it. Stugotz. What's a Stugotz? Besides
that's the boat. Yeah,
I don't know. Right. But what is Stugotz? What does that translate to?
No, I don't know.
Dick and balls. That is an
really
term for genitals. Yeah. Stugotz, and you grab your midsection, you go Stugotz. Like
I love how they keep putting references in there to remind you that these guys are not smart. They're not very bright.
Anything in closing as we wrap up this Sopranos draft?
I thought you were way too harsh in your characters that you hated in your quick list last night. And really, there's not any of these characters that I would jettison except for maybe Meadow. She serves no purpose but to get on my damn nerves.
You thought I was too hard on AJ?
Kinda.
Right,
he is what he is. You're supposed to not like him. You're supposed to find him quite annoying. He's supposed to be a more relevant version of Meadow, which is someone who busts Tony's balls. He's just another complication. And anyway,
my least favorite characters that I named last night were
I liked Adriana, by the way. I'm defending Adriana.
No. Carmela, Adriana, AJ, Janice, and Dr. John Kennedy are my 3 least favorite characters on The Sopranos show. All right, there you have it. This has been our official Sopranos draft. Wave goodbye. We're done. That's it. And there he goes. Hey, remember, folks, there is no Pillow Talk tomorrow. We're taking Thursday night off, but join me tomorrow for high noon every Monday through Friday. I sit here and I run through all the trending topics, all the hot topics, all the headlines, everything that's happening in the world. And I give it to you. It's a little cheat sheet for your day. I don't want you going anywhere and having people go, hey, did you hear about? I want you to be able to go, yeah, I did, because I listened to High Noon with me, Pugs Moran, every Monday through Friday, noon till about 2 o'clock. All right, that'll do it. Thank you all for being here. And I recognize this was a one-off show, but it's an experiment. All right, bye, everybody. Be well. Yeah, I know. You just can't help yourself. Totally agree with you, Jackie. Adriana is gross. Ugh. Just can't help yourself.
When you woke up this morning, everything was gone by 10:30. Your head going ding-dong, ringing like a bell from your head down to your toes. Like some boys trying to tell you there's something you should know. Last night you were fine, but today is so low. When a time like these makes you wonder if you'll ever know. I've seen enough things as they appear to the others. Why